He was just 20 years old when he shot down his first enemy aircraft. By the time the war ended, he'd done it 351 more times. His enemies called him the Black Devil. His comrades called him a legend, but history remembers him as the most lethal fighter pilot the world has ever known. This is the haunting and extraordinary story of Erich Hartmann, the young man who flew through hell and never got burned. Erich Hartmann was born in 1922 in Germany, in a world still healing from the First World War. His mother had once been a pilot herself, a rare thing in that era, and she passed on her love of flying to her son. By his teenage years, Hartmann had joined Germany's glider program, training in silence above the countryside, feeling the wind long before he ever heard the roar of a fighter engine. When war came, so did his chance to fly, not as a sport, but as a weapon. Assigned to the Luftwaffe, Hartmann was thrust into the Eastern Front, where the skies over Russia became a brutal, burning battleground. His aircraft, the Messerschmitt Bf 109, fast, agile, deadly in the right hands, and Erich's hands were deadly indeed. But his beginning was anything but glorious. On his early missions, Hartmann made mistakes. He was overeager, sometimes careless. In one instance, he even damaged his own plane trying to attack without orders, earning a grounding. But Hartmann learned quickly. He developed his own set of rules, patience, precision, and surprise. He waited, he stalked, he struck. Hartmann's signature tactic was to get so close to his target. He could fill his gun sight completely with the enemy aircraft. One quick burst, no waste, one shot, one kill, then he'd dive away before anyone could react. And it worked again, and again, and again. By mid-war, the Russians had a nickname for him, the Black Devil, because of the small black tulip he had painted around the nose of his fighter, a ghostly blur before death came. But Hartmann didn't see himself as a devil. He didn't hunt for the kill. He flew with a singular goal, survive and protect his squad. In dogfights, he never gambled. He calculated. He once told his wingman, "Fly with your head, not your heart. There's no glory in dying for nothing." Still, the numbers grew. 100 kills, then 200, then 300. By August 24, 1944, Hartmann achieved what no other pilot in history had: his 300th confirmed aerial victory. By the war's end, that number would rise to 352. No pilot before or since has come close. And yet, Erich Hartmann was not a Nazi. He refused to join the party. He didn't bomb cities. He didn't strafe civilians. He believed his duty was to fight other pilots, not terrorize innocents. But in Nazi Germany, being a hero came with a price. He was awarded the Knight's Cross with oak leaves, swords and diamonds, the highest military honor. Goebbels' propaganda machine paraded his face across newspapers, calling him the pride of the Reich. And Hartmann hated it. He was a pilot, not a poster, a soldier, not a symbol. In April 1945, with Germany collapsing, Hartmann's unit was ordered to surrender to the Americans, but fate had other plans. He was handed over to the Soviets, and in Soviet hands, the Black Devil was not a war hero. He was a war criminal. They wanted him to join East Germany's new Air Force. He refused. So they tried to break him. Hartmann was thrown into a Soviet prison camp, interrogated, beaten, starved. For 10 years, he endured the cold, the hunger, and the despair, but he never signed a confession. In the Gulag, the man who once ruled the skies was now just a number. But his spirit never cracked. In 1955, after years of pressure from West Germany and the Red Cross, Erich Hartmann was finally released. He returned home to a world that had moved on. But he didn't stay grounded for long. When West Germany formed its new Air Force, the Bundesluftwaffe, Hartmann was one of its first commanders. He trained young pilots, preached discipline, and warned against the errors of the past. But he was still a man of principle. When NATO forced the German Air Force to adopt the F-104 Starfighter, an aircraft he considered dangerously flawed, Hartmann spoke out. Loudly. Too loudly. His superiors, embarrassed, pressured him to retire. In 1970, he left the military, quietly, with dignity. Erich Hartmann died in 1993, at the age of 71. He left behind a legacy unmatched in numbers, but greater in conviction. He never lost a wingman. He was never shot down due to enemy fire. He never used his fame for politics or fortune. In his 1,404 combat missions, he became a legend not because he loved war, but because he understood it, because he respected life, even as he took to the skies to end it. So what do we make of a man like Hartmann? Was he a hero, a weapon, a survivor? Maybe all three. He fought for a broken country, but never broke his code. He flew through fire, but never lost control. And in a war defined by chaos, He lived and flew by a rule so simple and so rare. Honor above all.